Well, looking back in history is always interesting, is it not? And so I brought a guest who dates himself back to the 1800s. Well, not him so much. Dave Forness is with Keil-Forness Comfort Systems. Dave, you know, you've been here several times over the years. You've talked about heating and cooling and all that stuff. But today I brought you here because you told me that Keil-Forness, originally Keil, has been around for more than 100 years now.
It started in 1899.
1899. In fact, I think you brought a picture. Go ahead and show that first picture, if you would. A picture of this building, and that's where it started? Is that it?
Right. It's in a building right across the street from our existing place.
Okay.
And Adolf Keil originally started the company there.
Oh.
And went across the street about a year or two later.
Okay, well, now switch to that other picture, if you would, because this picture now that we're going to show, this is actually the building that you're currently in?
Yes, that is.
With some changes?
Quite a few changes.
Right.
Yes. The porch has been modified due to the state requiring changes with the street modifications.
So were those bricks that we saw out in front in the street?
Oh, yes. Good old paving brick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, no, now this is a more, obviously, this is what it's become over the years. What date do you put with this picture?
Well, this is actually from about 3 years ago. So about 2009 is when I snapped that picture.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it does look a little different. Maybe it's just the color that looks different. I don't know.
Yeah, a little brighter. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is. So what has happened in the past 113 years?
Oh, gosh.
14 years.
Obviously, the business has changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Heating has changed quite a bit.
Was that the original business? Was it heating and cooling? Or?
It was actually a tin shop and a hardware store, so to speak, more toward the tin side of things as far as repairing sprinkling cans, doing guttering, installing coal furnaces, things of that sort.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't do that anymore?
We haven't for a few years. No.
I guess not. Where do you go from that kind of business to where you are now? They had to, did that all happen when air conditioning became a big deal, or when gas furnaces became a big deal, or?
Well, the way people heat their homes and businesses has changed over the years.
Yeah.
And cooled as well. Going from, as we've talked about just briefly here, coal furnaces to natural gas-fired, oil-fired furnaces.
Well, coal furnaces are within many of my viewers' lifetime.
Mine too.
Really.
When I was a little kid, I remember helping Mom pull the clinkers, excuse me. I can't remember the name of them.
Tinkers. I call them clunkers.
Whatever
they were.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This new building that you're in, well, it's not a new building anymore. Yeah. It's the same building?
Same building. It was built in 1865. When it was built as a general store.
Oh, okay.
In fact, inside, the original librarian-style ladders are there, and some of the original shelving is still in place from that genre. Yeah, it's
people
a beautiful
ought to come
building.
by just to see that. That's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. People that do come by, they always get a kick out of seeing the
So over the years, you've had any number. I was looking at some of these tags that you brought in here, and I don't think we can show those, but what are these? Are wagon tags?
Yeah, back in the day, to haul our material and tin around, we used horse and buggies. We actually had wagons, and the city of Belleville had to have their tax money coming in some way, so they taxed the horses. As you can see, we have a 1-horse tag and a 2-horse tag.
Yeah, the 2-horse tag precedes the 1-horse tag because it's 1918, and the 1-horse wagon is 1925.
Well, the horses got bigger and stronger, so they only needed one.
But the number 8 on this one, does that mean that was like number 8?
Probably the 8th tag, yes, from what I understand, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's fascinating. Then you got into our Keil. So who were the people who were involved at the start?
Well, the founder was Adolf Keil in 1899.
Yeah.
His son, Edward Adam Keil, bought the business from him in the early 1920s. Edward Lewis Keil then bought the business from his father. He had also a brother, Harold. But Ed Keil took over the business from his father and changed the name from Adolf Keil to Adolf Keil and Son. It became Keil Heating and Sheet Metal Works. That's when Edward Lewis took over. Okay. And then when my dad took over.
So your dad then came in after Ed Keil.
After Ed Keil, yes. Okay. The last family of Keils didn't have any children. And Ed had hired my father back in 1960 to start working for him.
1960.
So it was almost a normal progression. Then he took over from him when he wanted to retire and so forth.
So now you're it.
Yes, I am. I get all the...
This thing that you brought, you've been with Lennox and a variety of other companies, but this, I think you were showing me this.
Oh, Lenny Lennox. We've been with Lennox since 1924. This was their original marketing person, if you will.
They didn't use him. They never used him on television.
No, they didn't do very much on television back in the 40s and 50s.
No, okay.
And then, of course, Dave Lennox has taken over as the new mascot in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, over the years, the building exterior you've kind of kept that the same, have you?
Tried to maintain the same structure. It is an historical building, so there are some requirements there as well. But I also, the architecture is really awesome to see. The inside of the building is beautiful just as well, and the second level where people have actually lived in the past.
Oh, really?
Yes. Huge pocket doors, beautiful tin ceilings. It's just like you would imagine seeing back in the 1800s.
So is it got some historical, is it part of an historical district, or has it received?
St. Clair County designated it as an historical building in the 1960s. So I've just tried to maintain the building and not, I've had to replace windows. After 100-something years, they started to fall apart. But small, minor things like that have changed, but the basic architecture of the building has remained.
Well, congratulations on the celebration. What's the date in January?
Oh, it'll be 115 years, the first.
Well, congratulations, and we'll have you back again sometime to talk about heating and cooling. But at this point, it was Keil-Forness talking about the old Keil Tin Works, I guess we could say.